You know, usually when we talk about history, we talk about empires, wars, and the great migrations of nations. But today, I want to talk to you about a dog. A dog that weighs about 7 or 8 kilograms, has a squished little face, a curled tail, and gets winded after climbing a flight of stairs. And yet, believe it or not, the story of this dog is the story of at least 3 empires, several religions, and one very famous French Revolution. So today, we are going to explore the fascinating history of the pug. Our journey begins a long way back, in China, roughly 2,000 years before this conversation. The truth is, the pug is not a European breed, even though today we perceive it as something distinctly Dutch or English, something domestic, bourgeois, and cozy. In reality, the origins of these dogs are deeply rooted in Imperial China during the Han Dynasty. In those times, there was an entire culture of breeding ornamental dogs, not for commoners, but exclusively for the royal court. Dogs with flat faces and forehead wrinkles were highly prized, because those wrinkles, if you looked closely, resembled the character Wang, meaning ruler or prince. Can you imagine? A dog with the word sovereign seemingly written by nature itself across its face. It was a ready-made symbol, a sign that the animal was worthy of being by the emperor's side. Such dogs lived at court, and their breeding was managed by Buddhist monks. Specifically, Tibetan and Chinese monasteries developed several related breeds, the ancestors of the Pekingese, the Shih Tzu, and the dogs now considered the direct progenitors of the pug. They were called Lo-sze, and the first mentions of them appear in Chinese sources around the 3rd century BC. And here is a crucial point. We are used to thinking of animal breeding as something utilitarian, creating a breed that is better at herding sheep or guarding a house. But here, we are looking at the exact opposite. The dog was bred not for function, but for symbolism, for the aesthetics of power. The forehead wrinkles, the flat nose, the large, bulging eyes, all of this was meant to be visually interpreted as a mark of the chosen. It seems there were several goals behind this breeding. First, a protective, magical purpose. These dogs were compared to the so-called fu dogs, the stone guardian lions. Second, a status purpose. The animal proved the exceptional rank of its owner. They were only allowed to be kept within the palace walls. And third, a behavioral purpose. The animal was required to possess a very specific temperament. That famous, calm nature of the pug, unflappable, willing to lie on your lap for hours on end demanding nothing, was honed over centuries precisely to make it the perfect companion for leisurely palace life. This life was truly luxurious. The dogs were kept in separate chambers, slept on silk pillows, and each was assigned its own servants, sometimes even a military guard, as a mark of their supreme status. The little wrinkled dog became not just a pet, but a fully fledged diplomatic gift, a tool of soft power, long before the term even appeared in political science. Now let's fast forward many centuries to the 16th and 17th centuries, the dawn of colonial trade. The China of the Ming and Qing empires was practically inaccessible to Europeans. Trade was conducted under the strictest control. And yet, it was exactly during this time that exotic Chinese goods began to slowly trickle into Europe. Silk, porcelain, tea, and, surprisingly enough, dogs. The main middlemen in this were the Dutch. The Dutch East India Company established trading posts in the Far East, and through these channels, little flat-faced dogs made their way to Holland. In the 17th century, the Dutch had the most advanced maritime trade network for luxury goods. and a dog with such an unusual appearance automatically became a novelty, an exotic treasure to show off. And this is where an episode begins that brings our pug onto the stage of grand politics. The year is 1572. The 80 Years' War, the Dutch War of Independence against Spain, is underway. One of the key figures in this war is William of Orange, William the Silent. According to a beautiful legend, it was a pug that saved William's life. Spanish soldiers launched a night raid to capture the prince in his camp, but his own pug, named Pompey, sensed the intruders, raised a frantic bark, and woke his master just mere seconds before the Spaniards burst into the tent. From that moment on, the pug became the official symbol of the House of Orange. It was depicted in portraits of the princes of Orange, no longer just a pet, but a heraldic symbol, a declaration of loyalty to the dynasty. And when William III of Orange became King of England in 1688, he brought not only his court to London, but his pugs as well. Thus, the breed began its conquest of the British Isles. In the 18th century, the pug experienced its first true golden age in Europe. The dog, which had been a symbol of power in Asia, became a status symbol in European royal courts. A fashion for all things Chinese emerged, chinoiserie. The funny little dog became a trendy accessory in aristocratic salons. In Italy, pugs even became the official mascots of a Masonic lodge called the Order of the Pug, Mopsorden. It was believed that this dog was fiercely loyal to its master and would never betray a secret. And in France, the pug entered the life of a woman without whom the Napoleonic era is unimaginable. Joséphine de Beauharnais. There is a famous story that when Joséphine was imprisoned during the Reign of Terror, her pug, Fortuné, carried hidden messages to her family in his collar. And on her wedding night, the pug allegedly climbed into the marital bed and bit Napoleon on the leg. While historians debate the accuracy of these details, the very fact that they were so widely circulated proves one thing. The pug had become a full-fledged witness to great historical events. Now we come to the moment when the pug became a breed in the modern, sinological sense of the word. This happened in 19th century England, and the main protagonist of this story is Queen Victoria. She had a particular weakness for pugs. During the 19th century, wealthy city dwellers began acquiring pets en masse, not for practical use, but for companionship and to display their prosperity. The first kennel clubs were established, and the pug became one of the very first officially standardized breeds. In 1860, British troops looted the summer palace of the Chinese emperors in Beijing. Among the spoils were dogs from the Imperial court. One of them was gifted to Victoria and given the name Lo-sze. A dog that had once been the symbol of Chinese imperial power became a trophy and the darling of the British Queen. It was during this era that the unique features of the pug breed we know today were shaped. The specific body proportions, the characteristic curled tail, and the wrinkles, which no longer held any hieroglyphic meaning, but served purely aesthetic purposes. But here I cannot fail to mention the flip side of the coin. Centuries of pug breeding moved in one single direction, exaggerating the original traits. An ever flatter face, bulging eyes, and a stocky body. This selective breeding led to the modern pug being a brachycephalic breed. And this causes severe health issues, breathing difficulties, eye problems, and spinal issues. The aesthetic that was once considered a mark of the chosen turned out to be a heavy burden for the animal itself. Today, veterinarians all over the world are debating how to reform the standards of such breeds to give these dogs their health back. For centuries, humans shaped the dog's appearance based on symbolism. And only now, in the 21st century, is this logic beginning to change. The little dog with the flat face, which started out as a symbol of imperial power in China, wandered through monasteries, became the symbol of the House of Orange, a Masonic mascot, a companion to Joséphine, and a favorite of Queen Victoria. It has journeyed through the entire grand history of the modern age, and this is perhaps the best illustration of what we always say. There is no topic so small that a vast historical panorama cannot be found behind it. Even the story of one little dog turns out to be the history of several civilizations. What do you think? How do you feel about pugs? And do you believe modern breed standards should be changed for the sake of their health? Share your thoughts in the comments. I would be very interested to know your point of view. And, of course, subscribe to the Gilded Archives channel so you don't miss our new historical investigations. Thank you for being with us. And until next time.